Hi, everybody. Welcome to Facebook Live. I'm your host, Rose.
And I'm your host, Lauren.
And today we have our special guest, Adrienne, back. Once again, she was here with us a few weeks ago to answer some career and college questions. But today we're covering back to school 2021 high school FAQs, frequently asked questions, any questions you have about going back to school at Penn Foster, going back to school at Penn Foster High School, or if you have any friends out there that are interested in going back to school with Penn Foster High School, please share this, tell your friends. But before we totally jump in, Lauren, do you want to go over a couple of do's and don'ts for today?
Sure. So, like Rose said, definitely share this with your friends or tag them if they're considering going back to school online this year. But please don't put any personal information in the comments because, of course, they're public. So if you have any quick questions, you can DM us right here on Facebook, or you can call us. The number for admissions is 1-888-427-6500. If you're a current student and you need some help, you can call Student Services at 1-888-427-1000. So that brings us to our our big exciting moment, which is to introduce Adrienne, who the last time we spoke to her was an admissions specialist, but now she has an announcement to make. So Adrienne, I'll let you introduce yourself and talk about what you do at Penn Foster.
Sure. So my name is Adrienne. I was a senior admissions specialist in the admissions department. I am now actually a team lead for the admissions team, and it's very exciting.
Well, you know your stuff, and it makes perfect sense that you would now be leading a team because you are just a treasure trove of information about every question anyone out there has about going back to school with Penn Foster. Adrienne has an answer for you. She just really knows her stuff. So I think it's a great thing to hear. So I think today we're going to be going over mostly Penn Foster High School program frequently asked questions, the tuition frequently asked questions, and then just how to get started. So Adrienne, we might as well jump in.
Okay.
So I guess a big question is, what sets Penn Foster High School apart, and who is it for?
Sure. So, I mean, the program itself is really for anybody. It's not necessarily just for people who are in a traditional system. So the way that it's really set up is being at the student's own pace. And not only is it for people who are still in high school, but it's also for people out of high school. So we have students ranging from 13 years old into their 70s and 80s. So it's never too late to go back and get your diploma either.
Nice. I mean, that is one of those things that I think when you have a goal in mind, something that you always feel like, oh, I always wanted to do this one thing, and then you don't do it, even if you are older, getting older, you're like, it's not going to go away. That thing I wanted to do, it's never going to go away. I'm not going to just grow out of wanting my high school diploma if I've always wanted my high school diploma. So I think that is a very cool thing about Penn Foster High School, and that it is open to such a wide age group, and that it also is not a GED program.
Yes.
And it's a legit diploma.
Yeah. Time is Penn Foster High School accredited, because people want to know if a Penn Foster High School diploma will help them get to their next step, whether that be more education or into a job or whatever their goals may be. So can you talk?
Sure. So with the diploma, it is both nationally and regionally accredited. The national accreditation is through the Distance Education Accrediting Commission, and the regional accreditation is through, it's a very long name, but we usually just say the Middle States Commission, as well as through, I don't know how exactly it's pronounced. I think it's CONIA. It used to be Advanced Ed, but they had a name change to, I believe it was CONIA.
COGNIA, I think, right?
Yeah. Or Cognia.
I don't know how to pronounce it either.
What is the difference between regional and national accreditation?
So the main difference between them is that regional agencies are responsible for accrediting like public colleges and universities and major private nonprofit institutions. National agencies accredit private proprietary schools and specialty institutions like online or correspondence schools.
Very, very cool. So does Penn Foster High School accept transfer credits from other schools then?
Mm-hmm. Yep, so we can transfer in the program itself. It consists of 21 and a half credits, and we can transfer in up to 16 of the credits that somebody has from a previous school. There are a couple things that we have to look at there. We can't transfer in any like half or partial credits. They have to be comparable to the program, like biology would have to transfer in as biology and not a different science course. Things like that, but we can definitely look at somebody's transcripts in general.
Does that, just curious, does that help you save any money if you transfer in?
Yep. So transferring credits over to us right now with the pricing discount, it's $25 off per credit that transfers in.
Nice.
Does Penn Foster accept transfer credits from international institutions?
We can. Yes. We would have to, obviously we can't guarantee that things would transfer in. We would have to do an evaluation for that. If the transcript is not in English, it does have to be translated and notarized in order for us to evaluate it. But we can definitely take a look at those too.
So a big question I think a lot of people ask is, how long is this going to take? Most high schools we think of 4 years from start to finish. Obviously transfer credits would play into this a little bit, right? But how long does it take typically to complete the Penn Foster High School program?
So it's really going to depend on the person. Most people finish it in around a year or so, maybe a little bit less or more, just depending on somebody's pacing. And that's somebody who like doesn't have any transfer credits over to us. But obviously, if somebody has more time on their hands and can work on it more, they can definitely finish faster than that. Or if they're busier, they can take more time. We do give up to 3 years for somebody to complete the program.
Oh, that's interesting. So I think it's fun how with Penn Foster, I don't know if anyone has ever felt this way, when you're like on a roll with school and then there's a break and you want to like keep going and keep staying on track. But it's like, these are the days off. Now you have like, I don't know, a 6-week break, like when you really want to not hurry, but you're motivated to get something done and somebody else is kind of dictating your schedule. I think it's nice that with Penn Foster High School, you could literally take classes on the weekend if you want to, or at night, or at any time. It could be Memorial Day or whatever holiday. I think that's just such a, the flexibility is so good when you're very motivated, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, and especially on like winter and summer break too. Like if people want to work through that, they can as well. And I think that's right. I mean, I've had people who called and were like, "Well, my child is bored over the summer because they don't have anything to do, so we want to just get them started and have them starting their courses." So
yeah, get a leg up. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Get ahead of the game.
That's awesome. If someone is not maybe comfortable going back to school in person this year due to the pandemic or whatever reason, are they able to transfer to Penn Foster for this school year in time to kind of start with the rest of their traditional class? And can they maybe just do Penn Foster to help them cover some classes for this year?
Yeah, so we do have our high school core sales department, so they would help out if somebody is looking to return to their school after like a year of taking our program, or if they're looking for credit recovery courses. So that department would be able to help out with that specifically.
And what is credit recovery? I'm sorry.
So credit recovery is kind of like summer school. So if somebody like fails a course in the middle of the year and needs to retake it, we have people who take individual courses with us to transfer back to their school.
Oh, I got it. That's a good option. That's always handy. Okay, so what's the age requirement then to be an online high school student with Penn Foster?
Sure. So as mentioned before, there isn't any really specific age requirement aside from being at least 13 years old. So anything from 13 up into 70s, 80s, not whoever wants to take the program, as long as they're at least 13. Aside from that, we do have an 8th grade completion requirement as well. So 8th grade does have to be completed in order for somebody to start high school.
So essentially you could graduate high school like at 16 years old if you wanted to.
Yeah, I've had students who did graduate and then decided to go on and take one of our career college programs.
Talk about like getting a jump start.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I know we sometimes see parents who will enroll in Penn Foster, maybe high school or career college, while their child is also taking a Penn Foster program, which is really cool. So for parents that are considering homeschooling this year, can they use Penn Foster to homeschool their child? And what would the commitment look like for the parent who's enrolling their child in Penn Foster?
So it's, I think, because the flexibility, because a lot of times you'll have parents who are, say, working on like a typical 9 to 5, and their kid here, with a lot of things being virtual, like they're not able to really help them at the time that they're in school or like right getting out of school. So this will give them a chance to, if they want to work on it in the evening time, they can work with them, kind of study with them, help them out, and it,
Interesting because stuff and curriculum, which I think for a lot of parents who want to homeschool, that just sounds like way too overwhelming. But the fact that Penn Foster has everything sort of just entirely planned out for you, like you could just check in on your kids every once in a while instead of actually having to teach them, I think that is just an unbelievably beneficial thing. And we've been so established in high school for schools closed, figure out how to go online. 2006. So,
well, especially as well, like alone in this side. If they need additional assistance, if they need some help, we have instructors that can help as well.
That's great. I mean, online high school at Penn Foster can kind of be good for learners whose parents want to be super involved because, like you mentioned, Adrienne, the parents can be with them nights or weekends or in off times to help their kids, but it can also work out really well for more independent learners because they can contact their instructor directly and navigate the program on their own. So it kind of works for both, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's awesome.
It's also so beneficial when you think about it. If you're somebody who has to move a lot for work, you're picking up your family and you're going on a child, a student athlete who is a musical performer or is in entertainment, it just makes it so easy to bring the exact same curriculum, that consistency everywhere you go, instead of having to feel like you're moving a kid from a different environment to a different environment all the time. So it is really just such a helpful, an online high school, just the idea of it is so helpful. And it's almost, because it's so consistent, is almost a comfort, I think, when you have that kind of a lifestyle where you are up and moving all the time.
Exactly.
Is it all online, or is there anything that students will need to do either in person or at certain times of the day, or anything like physical they will need beside a computer?
Nope, everything will be completely online. There is the option where we actually started this recently. It's like the textbook buy-up option, where if they wanted to purchase physical textbooks to go along with their ebook versions, they would be able to do that at an additional cost, which would be available directly on the student portal. But I mean, even that's not required. That's just kind of an extra resource if they wanted something like that. I've had a couple parents before ask me, oh, do they have to like do anything for gym class or like anything like that? Which no, they don't. A lot of it is really like the theory for the fitness and nutrition class.
I've wondered about that too. Like, how do you do gym class?
It's a good question.
So it's more health focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of the ebooks are included in the program.
Yes.
Awesome.
So I think a lot of people have questions that are, so we saw a lot of this last year, kids having to wake up at a certain time of day. They had to be logged in at a certain time. They're sitting in a chair all day. It's like everything's regimented on a schedule. Penn Foster, are there any live stream classes? Are there any times that there's going to be an instructor that needs you to be there at 10 a.m. for this class or anything along those lines, how does that work as far as the scheduling goes and needing to be at certain places at certain times or the like?
Yeah. So it is an option, but it's not required. Some of the courses will have like videos that go along with it. There are optional webinars that can be attended, but it's not a requirement for the high school program. So it's just kind of an added resource.
That's cool. Awesome. And the recordings make it like you could watch the recording at any time, right? Like that doesn't have to be. But I guess if there are live streamed webinars, because I know we have some webinars sometimes, that's nice for the live QA, I think. I like this.
Exactly.
What kind of classes are included in the high school curriculum?
Yeah, so the courses themselves, they meet the state and national standards. So you'll have like the typical core classes, so like English, math, science, social studies courses, and then there's also 5 elective courses for the program.
So what's an elective? Like what?
So an
what
elective,
are some electives?
We have about 19 or 20 different electives that can be either chosen from, and they would choose 5 of them, or we have a career pathway option, which I can talk about in a sec too. But with the general electives, they can choose from things like, let's say, like economics, or there's like a Spanish course, like those types of courses.
Can we talk about those pathways?
Yeah.
So I guess, so if you would tell us about what they are.
There are, I believe there's 10 of them now because we did add another one in there. So they are like pre-selected elective courses based around a specific career field. And then those courses can then transfer into our career diploma programs, or if what we call the early college pathway is chosen, those would be ACE approved college courses that can transfer into our college programs. And so we have a bunch of different options for the pathways. We have like the healthcare pathway is a very popular one. We have the childcare professional. There's the IT pathway. So there's a bunch of different ones on there.
And when you graduate, you get a pathway certificate with that too?
Yep. So there would be a pathway certificate, and then those lessons can transfer into certain career diplomas. So if somebody took the healthcare pathway, they would have part of the, let's say, medical billing and coding if they wanted to go into that. Or there's also medical administrative assistant or medical transcription that those can transfer into.
And then that saves you time and whatever your next career move would be out of high school. So medical billing and coding, I think it's a great example because it's a great career. And I think that's awesome that you could save the time of 5 classes on a career program because you did it for your electives in high school.
Yeah.
Seems like a very smart move to me. Is there a price difference between the pathways and the high school program, the traditional?
Nope, it's the same price, which, I mean, if somebody has an idea of what they're looking to go into, I would say why not? Like, especially because there isn't that pricing difference as well.
Yeah, it's great to at least test out a career option. If you think you want to go into healthcare, you can take the healthcare pathway, see if it's for you, and then maybe that can help you decide what types of careers you want to pursue later.
And there's a veterinary pathway. I know we have a lot of students who love the veterinary program, and we do have I think that's a newer pathway.
Yeah, it's the veterinary assistant pathway, which those can transfer into the vet assistant career diploma afterward.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So handy.
So let's talk about enrolling and getting started and how that process goes next. How would someone go about enrolling?
So it is super simple. We can even get people started same day. Unlike a typical, like, oh, you have to apply to a place and then wait for acceptance. And then it's very simple. So you can enroll either over the phone, you can enroll online or through the mail, which most people aren't enrolling by mail nowadays, but it is still an option. But it can be done same day. I mean, there's an enroll now button directly on the website or calling in, and we can do everything directly over the phone.
Is there a deadline to enroll?
Not at all. We do have open enrollment. So whenever somebody's looking to get started, whether that's today, a month from today, that's up to whoever's looking to get started.
So how did the process of starting classes work then if you can enroll in the same day and it's super flexible? Well, like how do the classes start? When do the classes start? What does that look like?
So since we are open enrollment and self-paced, there's not any specific start dates for the courses. So they can get started as soon as they enroll. The first course really with any program is going to be the orientation course. So that'll teach them how to like navigate the website, how to ask for help if they need, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Awesome.
I have an exam question. So what is the format? So what is it like to take an online exam? Like what is that experience like? What is the format? What could I expect taking exams online? Do I have my camera on? Like, what is that like?
Yeah, so with the exams themselves, each of the courses are broken up into anywhere between like 2 and 7 lessons, and then you'll have an exam at the end of each lesson. Typically, they're multiple choice ranging from like 20 to 30 questions. And then with like an English course, they may have to write something and turn it in, which would take a little bit longer to be graded because with the multiple choice, it's graded right then and there once they submit it. But everything is untimed, so they're not going to be under any kind of time constraint for that.
Oh, that's nice.
That is nice.
Are there retakes if you don't do well the first time?
Yeah, so they are allowed one retake per exam that's taken. So they don't do well, you can go back and study a little bit more, and then the retake would have to be taken within 30 days of the initial exam.
Okay.
Lost my words there, sorry.
Hold on a minute. So we're like just throwing questions at you, like boom, 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 and you're just like playing tennis and like hitting them back, like yep.
Yes. So how do then the courses work? Do you focus on one subject at a time? Do you do multiple subjects at the same time?
So it would be one subject at a time, and I don't know if anybody else calls them this, but I call them this. I usually call them like cycles for the high school program. So they'll take, taking like all of their English one after another. They're not taking all of their math one after another. So that's kind of why I call them cycles. So they'll take like an English course, and then they'll take a math, and then they'll take a science, and then they'll take a social studies. Then it'll kind of go around in that pattern. So that way they have that variation there, and it's not just them taking all of their science courses one after another.
I just like thinking back to when I was in high school, like I wish I had the opportunity to just focus on math at one time because I was not a strong math student, but then you have like all these other classes you're taking at a time, and then you had to find a way to fit in studying that one course you're having a hard time with. And instead with Penn Foster High School, you could focus solely on that course, take as much time as you need. Like that is just such a relief. I wish I had had that when I was, or I'd known I could have had that when I was younger.
Definitely. And it was always such a struggle, too, to kind of juggle what to study for in terms of exams. If you had multiple subjects all with a test on the same day, how stressful is that? So prioritizing what to study and how much you need to study for one versus another is stressful. And it also causes you to not make certain subjects a priority when you're studying. So with this method, you can really focus on one subject at a time and you can make sure that you're really focused and really learning that one subject instead of trying to juggle a million things in your head at the same time.
Yeah, so it's not just about like getting it done and passing, but it's like genuinely I'm learning this. Like these are skills I'm going to be taking with me because I get to focus on them on my terms and learn them on my terms. I think that is just a lot of people don't have that opportunity, and I think that this makes it so accessible for people to have that opportunity, and you could surprise yourself with what you could learn, you know?
Well, I think especially with it being at somebody's own pace as well, like they're not going to be forced to move ahead if they're not ready. Like I feel like within a traditional setting, it's like, oh, we're working at the class's pace. And some people may think that's too slow. Other people may think that's too fast of a pace for them. So it lets people work at their necessary pace to learn the material and actually understand it.
And avoiding a midterms or a finals week sounds great to me.
Seriously.
Yeah, it does.
So if you do get stuck, how can you go about contacting instructors for help?
So there's a couple different ways. They're available through phone, through emails, and through chats. There is a help and support section that's directly on the student portal, so they can reach out that way or just give us a call.
That's really great.
Mm-hmm. It's easy peasy. It's all baked right into the student portal.
Yeah.
So I think a big question is cost, right? So most people associate high school with something that is sort of bundled into taxes. So how does tuition work then for Penn Foster High School? What does that look like? Is it affordable to go to school at Penn Foster High School and have these extra options? Really, I mean, in some cases, I think that they're unbelievably wonderful benefits to going to school at Penn Foster because of that flexibility factor, which, I could say it a million times over and over again. I wish I had some of that when I was younger, or if I had to go back to school now. So what is the tuition like for the high school program?
So with the program itself, since we are a private school, we do have a tuition cost. We do get that question a lot when people call in, like, why isn't it free? And that's kind of why we aren't free. But there are a couple things that go into it. We do have promotions that go on every now and then. So it's good to check on the website to see what the most up-to-date pricing is, whether it's paying in full or setting up a payment plan with us. And typically with our monthly payment plan option, the minimum monthly payment would be $50 per month. And it would also depend on a couple things, whether somebody's taking the whole program or if they have classes transferring in.
Is there any interest on the monthly payments?
No, so there is a pricing difference between the pay in full versus the monthly payment, which would be our finance charge, but it makes that total interest free.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Will a learner need to purchase any equipment or software to take our online program?
The only thing that they would need to have is their own device to connect with the program. That would really be it. Everything is done directly off of the web browser on our website, so they wouldn't have to download any specific software or anything like that.
Can they do it on their cell phone?
They can access it from their cell phone. It may be a little bit difficult to, say, do a writing assignment on your cell phone.
Yeah.
But it can be accessed, so they can access like their study materials and the exams directly from mobile devices as well.
Okay, so what about, is there any kind of a high school financial aid? Is that a thing? And would we take that?
So typically with financial aids, they aren't able to be used towards us because of us being self-paced, because oftentimes they would need to be attending like a part or full-time school or a Title IV school in order to actually use that. Okay. But that's why we have our payment plan options, and we try our best to be as affordable as we can for that.
Yeah, we really are super affordable as far as the complete price. Lauren, it looked like you were going to say something. Go for it.
I had a question. So because of the pandemic, there are more public schools offering an online option. Why would a student choose Penn Foster over an online option from their public school?
I think one of the biggest things is the flexibility, because I feel like even with online programs that are offered from public schools, they typically still have to attend from, say, 9 to 3. They have to be logged in, they have to be doing their work, and I mean, that doesn't work for everybody. So it gives that flexibility. And I think that's really the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think we have an amazing our faculty is so wonderful. We know them, we get to work with them. They're absolutely such good people. They're really experts in their fields, very talented. I think the support is also great too, that you could just quickly send an email or set up a chat and get in touch with someone that can help. And then there's, your team and people like you. And then we have our student services team that is, I think, just so caring and empathetic and helpful. So there's just a lot of different facets about Penn Foster, I think, that make it just so special.
Mm-hmm. I think the career pathways are a great reason that, helps Penn Foster stand out too, because we really do at Penn Foster think about how all of our programs align with career outcomes. So if you were to take our high school program and add on that career pathway, we've designed those so that it will help you gain that foundational knowledge to work toward more education or more training for an actual career in that field and kind of get you started on the path toward a real career. So I think that career mindedness that we offer is really great if you're setting your sights beyond just the high school diploma and you're thinking about what will my job be? What will my career be? We can definitely help you figure that out and get started with that.
Yeah, I think for traditionally aged students and for adult learners, but I think we all know a traditionally aged students where you're like, hey, what's your plan after school? And they're like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like this gives them like an actual track to start. And even if that isn't ultimately what they end up doing in life, like for the rest of their life, it might start them off with a really decent career to start maybe getting ready for the next step, whether that's like, getting a 4-year degree, or I know we have graduates that are now on a PhD track. So I think it really is a good way to kind of get your feet wet into what it means to have have career skills and start to gain professionalism by thinking about your career when you're in high school. And at Penn Foster High School, we make that such an easy, linear way of thinking about that. And also, I think there's also that idea of a lot of the careers, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but a lot of the careers that Penn Foster offers, I didn't know about. I didn't know these were roles. These were available, like well-paying career tracks. I didn't know about them. And Penn Foster showed me what these careers are that I had never heard of before. So I think that also makes it really handy that Penn Foster's like, hey, like, did you know that there's all of these roles maybe you've never heard of before? Why don't you check them out and see where you fit in? And then having that track. Handy dandy.
To Adrienne's point about flexibility too, I think it could be great if you are a traditional aged high school student and you want to graduate early and get started on your career early. So if you just want to get your high school diploma so you can start on a career in the skilled trades, for example, you don't have to wait until you're 18 and you go through like the exact amount of time of a traditional public high school to start on your career path. You can graduate early and then move into what you want to do as soon as you're done and as soon as you're graduated, which is pretty cool.
So let's say some people are watching and they're like, okay, I want to know more. I want to start. How do we do that? What are the steps?
So as mentioned, you can either enroll online or give a call to somebody. Give a call to speak with an admission specialist. I mean, that's, I think, the best option if you're still really skeptical, have other questions, kind of reaching out. If this is for somebody who is under 18, we do also need parent or guardian around as well to make that initial payment for the tuition to get started, which with the promotion that we have, they can be as low as $1 to get started. And then the monthly payments would start the subsequent month.
Sweet. So the admissions number is, just if anybody's curious, it's 1-888-427-6500. Adrienne, it was so awesome having you back.
Yes.
You've answered so many questions at a record speed, I think.
Well, I'm glad to be here. It's exciting.
So happy to hear that your expertise has earned you a role as team lead. I think that you're going to really spread that knowledge around to more people, and they're going to become, and they are already excellent admissions specialists, but it's so great to hear that you're going to be doing that, and congrats again.
Yes,
and for all of you out there, it was so nice seeing you yet again, and we will see you next time. Okay.
Good luck with this school year. Bye.
See you, everybody.